everyone to Working with Brands and What They Expect from Content Creators. My name is Domino Jack. I am your host today. Irrelevant if the panel thing still says Fran. Fran unfortunately could not make it, so you've got me instead. I hope you're all not too disappointed about that. So I'm a content creator, streamer from Sydney, Australia, and but enough about me. Let me introduce to you our lovely panel here. So first off, we've got Phid, the man himself who helped organise all this. So Phid. Oh my gosh, Phid. You can all call him Fizz now. He'll hate it. Phid.
Short for
he
Fiddler.
is the Business Development and Talent Manager at GGWP Academy. And he's worked with multiple brands and hundreds of content creators on campaigns over the past 10 years. I've also gotten to personally work with Phid. He's amazing. I've gotten to do a lot of brand stuff with him, so very cool person. Next, so Phid is just here in the GGWP hat, in case you were wondering. And then at the other end, I've got Leto. Is it Leto or Leto?
It's Leto.
Leto. All right, let's get the correct
But my username is Leto.
I believe I thought it was Leto.
I am a French foot, yes, you got me.
Leto.
Amazing.
He is silent.
All right, so...
Leo.
Yeah, I'm going to try to keep them on track. Apparently, this is going to be a problem. All right, so Leto is a former full-time streamer, talent manager, and he's now the director of GamerTalent. He also did want me to let you all know that he's a 3-time Children's Choice Award winner. For what that award is, we don't know. Let's not ask questions. All right. Then we have Jenna. So Jenna is here next to Phid. She is a PR and comms rep at HerdMSL, working with brands that power and support streamers from PC hardware brands to title publishers and beyond. And then we have Jessie, also known as GeekGG, dressed in this amazing cosplay here. Jess, do you want to stand up?
I made none of it myself. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, stand up. Give everyone a show of this Fallout cosplay. Lovely.
The dog meat.
Oh, did you get dog meat as well?
Yeah, of course,
Oh,
mate.
yeah.
It's my best friend.
So for those who don't know, GeekGG or Jessie is a content creator. She also has 2 fantastic cats who are her biggest supporters. I actually had the pleasure of working with Jessie earlier this year on an Xbox activation at the Thor movie premiere for the latest movie. So yeah, gotten to work with Jessie.
And I beat you in Goat Simulator challenges.
She did beat me in Goat Simulator.
Sorry.
I didn't think we were going to bring that up, but apparently we are. I see how it be, eh?
Went right out.
All right, so we've got a couple of questions and topics that we're going to talk about here, which I hope will be helpful and insightful for you all. And then, look, we'll open it up to some questions on the floor for any questions you might have for the panel or myself. So the first thing we want to address is social media. How important is that social media presence for content creators and getting to work with brands? So I'll throw it over to my panel. Who would like to jump in on this one? How important is your social media presence?
You've actually got one, so do you want to start?
I think very important. It's just, I think social media in particular, like it's great that you've got a Twitch channel or a YouTube channel or whatever it is, but social media is kind of where people can connect with you. It's also somewhere that brands who you work with are going to want to see, because I mean, look, I can stream a game for somebody and that's great, but if I've got a social media where I can also share when my streams are happening, I can share sort of like, you know, the products that I'm working with. I think it's just a really nice place for people to be able to connect with creators as well.
To add to that from an agency point of view, I don't think I've ever written a talent brief, which is the document that streamers get when they're being sponsored by somebody.
The Bible.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever written one which has not included tweets, Instagram, TikTok, or whatever, right? And I've also had brands literally turn down someone who's got like 200 viewers concurrent, but 0 social media presence, because they want to see their brand represented outside of stream. Once that stream starts and ends, that's the end of that stream. So they want to see the brand elsewhere.
Yeah, you're also going to have brands that aren't necessarily in that gaming space.
Absolutely.
So their traditional audience isn't going to be on Twitch or it's not going to be on YouTube. It's going to be somewhere entirely different that they're going to find through different channels.
Yeah.
Not just promoting the actual content, but also finding talent to begin with. Like we have campaigns entirely for Telstra, Lenovo, and a bunch of others that are the talent was found through social and found through their presence and who has that engagement. We don't just call you.
Yeah.
You also pick up different deals completely. Like you have a big enough Instagram, you start picking up more lifestyle stuff.
Absolutely.
Jessie gets more like sportswear or some work with like Instagram, Facebook directly and stuff. And that's stuff that doesn't come from, kind of annoyingly, there are some companies who just don't know what Twitch is. Back when I used to
It's a big part of what we do is educating those brands.
Yeah, like back when I used to do some pre-roll stuff for a company that used to do Twitch's ad pre-roll, we used to get a lot of companies being like, we love this, we should get this person to do it. Could we find a way to not do it live, kind of thing? And that's not a good look for a live streaming company. So yeah, you get your Twitter because Twitter might be where a brand might see you, or Instagram might be where like, I don't know, Under Armour or something might come out, or YouTube always has deals going with VPNs or Manscaped or whatever, and Twitch is where you
Basically
get
anything
more.
that's outside of that gaming sphere, they're going to absolutely 100% want it outside of Twitch.
It's like having a LinkedIn. You might not want to have it, but you might get a job offer, right? If you want to have things go right, at least have like a token presence on everything, do some stuff on it, and make sure that it like, do it for whatever works on it, right? Instagram is where you put your cool things I did and I look good in this photo. Twitter is where you put stuff that a PR agency might go, that's professional. LinkedIn is where you put lies, I don't know. Like you.
Oh, goodness. So,
Yeah.
I want to know how you describe TikTok then.
This is dance.
I mean,
challenges.
you can reply to it. TikTok is where you go to look at a thing that someone else did and get 40,000 times more views.
So, off the back of that then, for people wondering, is there a social media that is, like any of the social media platforms, is there one that is more important than any of the others? Is there one that they should be focusing on, or is it more depending on what you do?
Depends on the audience.
Yeah.
Like you can do whatever you do, but if you're doing it completely to the wrong audience or with a different call to action, it's not going to work.
Absolutely.
I think it's, coming from the creative perspective, I think it's what suits you and how you, I guess, interact with people on social media. So I have a Facebook, for example, but that's pretty much secondary to my Twitter and Instagram, whereas I know a lot of people where Facebook is their main platform for a lot of their content. So I think, it really depends on who you are, what kind of content you're making, and sometimes that can work on one platform and not the other.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I'll
off
add-
the back of that,
So I'll
sorry.
add, it's
Yeah,
not
go.
just where the audience is, but also what is the goal of the campaign to put the job. So if you're asking for subscriptions, if you're asking for downloads, if you're asking to go to this website, you want competition entries, Twitter can be great to get an immediate reaction. Instagram stories is perfect if you want people to go to another website because you can track that. So it depends entirely.
TikTok's terrible for click-through.
Yeah, and terrible for real-time analytics. So
Yeah.
it's what are we as a brand asking out of the content, but then also what can we show off the back of it?
yeah, awesome.
Sorry, this is me kind of going off on a bit of a tangent.
I
But
feel like that's going to be this whole panel is
Yeah,
constantly just adding to this.
But like, when you're making social stuff, you need to find out what you're actually getting from the platform. TikTok is notorious for, as you said, low click-through. It works for some things if you're the sort of, like, if you make things, if you make little bars of soap, or like a lot of like RPG companies, they make a
Advertise
killing on
directly.
TikTok because you click on a thing, you go shiny thing, and then you click the button and you buy the thing, right? But like 300,000 views on TikTok is not the same as 300,000 views on Twitch, because on Twitch you have to click there, wait through 8 fucking pre-roll ads or whatever, and then hey to the Twitch viewers, by the way, who made it, congrats. And then you're a captive audience. You'll probably watch that for at least half an hour, if not more, right? TikTok, a view is 1, right? It's the same view, it's the same click-through. You might have 300,000 views on a TikTok. Do you have 300,000 fans, right? There are people who, like, you don't consume it in the same way. You don't go onto someone's, it's very rare that you go onto someone's TikTok profile page and be like, this is my favorite creator, I go there.
They've
You
got to
follow 'em
stand
once,
out
and it's the
before-
algorithm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So speaking of social media, what are creators doing wrong on social media? What are they doing that brands are looking at it and
Where's my
going,
list?
Get the
"Ooh,
list."
I do not want to work with that creator"? What are they doing that is wrong? Oh, okay. Phid's got a whole notebook, guys. You better buckle it up. This is going to be longer than an hour.
No, honestly, this one could go on. I think everybody's going to have an opinion on this one. So I'm going to call out the straight up obvious things is don't be an edgelord. It was cool 20 years ago or 10 years ago, but now that you've got viewers and followers, go back and clean out your social media, do an audit and get rid of every time you said something that was mildly racist, mildly sexist, mildly chauvinistic, and if you're doing it outright racist or chauvinistic or whatever, you're definitely using it wrong. But that's like the extremes, right? That's my definite hard. I'm not working with you, and I know absolutely no brand's going to.
General life rule, don't be a dickhead. That's the
But
way
you'd
it's
be
held.
surprised at how many big streamers you go through and have a look a year ago and go, oh, that tweet ain't it.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
always find it just before a campaign goes live, and then you've got to figure it out. But it's always fun. I'd add as well, treat it like the job that it is. You are a professional. We are, despite what you're seeing out in the main panel today, or main floor today, it's a very small industry. We all kind of know each other. We all kind of talk. So if you are disrespectful, if you are late on delivery, if you don't meet basic KPIs, we're all going to know about it, and it will impact your chances of getting another gig in the future.
100%. Like, I think you should still be true to yourself, and obviously everybody's got their own
Absolutely,
brand
Yeah,
online,
100%.
but you can do that without being a C-U-N-T, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's,
Great travel
if that's your
campaign.
brand, probably not a good route to be going down.
But this is the thing, I was literally talking to a creator about this about half an hour ago, is there's a lot of people out there that built their brand as being a bit of an edgelord. It's no longer going to fit them if they're wanting to work with brands.
You can be an edgelord without being a prick. though,
Exactly what I was about to say, right? It's learning how to walk that line
Yeah.
of getting your sense of humour out there, but not being offensive, being brand friendly. You can still do all that.
Yeah. I'm gonna go on a tangent again.
Okay.
All right. I'll
I'm
allow
amazed
it.
that it's you so far who's done
This
the
is
two
tangent
tangents.
one.
You know what? I'm gonna stop asking and then just tell me to
Just
shut the
do it.
fuck up.
All right.
This is going to make anyone who did any basic media theory like 101 roll their eyes. But there's the thing that I see most people doing wrong on stuff is like they start a TikTok. You start a TikTok, you want some clicks, you want some more people.
And
For a
that's
lot of
it.
people, TikTok is like relevancy. The Zoomers are on it. Fuck yeah, right? Like especially if you're the sort of person who's worried about not having new people coming in, TikTok's great for, you know, having Gen Z, right? If your audience is slowly aging up, right? But the basic tenet of Media 101 is something called McLuhanism, which is the medium is the message, which is to say stop making Twitch content for TikTok. Stop doing a World of Warcraft best moment where it's a third-person camera and you just see the back of a Tauren's head and then someone goes, oh my God, and then there's like a bubble webcam at the top, right? TikTok content is supposed to be eye-catchy. You catch, like, you scroll past and go, oh, that looks interesting. If you see the back of, like, a character's head for 1 second, you don't give a shit, right? So the thing people are doing wrong, I see, is making YouTube content for Twitch or TikTok content for LinkedIn or whatever, right? Do the right thing in the right one. Figure out what actually works. Otherwise,
Yeah, I mean, you can. I've seen
Yeah.
clips from Twitch used really well on
they can work.
TikTok, but it has to be something really engaging and funny or a ridiculous moment that has happened, and you're going, okay, I'll save that. And
If you could spend half an hour making a really well-edited clip or 5 seconds replying to someone on another thing on TikTok and you'll get the same amount of views, why do the 30-minute? I mean, quality is its own, like, reward, but also don't just try and get blood from a stone. Even something like a Valorant kill cam. It works a lot better as a YouTube short than a TikTok, specifically because a YouTube short is something that someone might click onto a profile and click onto you, because people do that on YouTube. They don't do that as much on TikTok.
also, I'm just going to add this in there because you've mentioned
We
shorts.
really don't shut the fuck up
No,
together.
I do. We don't. Did I tell you about this job I once had?
Stop.
All right, we'll move on. I'll get you
No,
guys
no,
off that
beforehand,
tangent quickly.
beforehand, I did want to actually say this
Oh,
one.
wait,
is
okay, we've got another tangent number 2. Go.
Slight tangent. If you are attempting YouTube or trying to grow on YouTube, shorts are the algorithm hack. Like, you should be using shorts. That's it.
It's what brands are also not doing is making like the right content on the right platform. Sometimes you'll get a brief and you've probably hit your head on the desk a couple of times of mine, but to save on budget, we will say, great, we want to do a TikTok or a YouTube video, and then we'll just recast it into a story or reuse it again in certain ways. There are advantages of that if it's the right way to go, but I don't necessarily think brands are doing it right every time either when they're directing you to say, great, use that reel on TikTok or everything else, because it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So the next question we've got is, okay, so a brand has approached us and the concept is working for Contra. So I'll just confirm with you, Phid, I'm guessing you're saying here that a brand's offering you product to do the job for them. So they're like, we'll give you a microphone, a headset, or whatever it is, some clothes or whatever. Should influencers, creators, should they be doing that? Do you think, yeah?
Essentially, should influencers be doing free work for free stuff?
Yeah.
This is going to be an interesting one because I think all of us are going to have different opinions on this, or a varying opinion on it. I personally think that it's a great opportunity for people that have not worked with brands and it's their first foray into working with a brand for the first time. They get to sort of work out how to create content for a brand, and if you start doing great work with that Contra stuff, you can start getting the attention of the guys that probably will pay you. And that's also part of that career growth as well. Like as you start growing, you'll start getting the cash offers and you can start saying, okay, I'm not doing shit for free anymore.
Yeah. Brands are businesses. They run either calendar year or financial year, so budget isn't always there. Sometimes it's locked in February and you can't do anything over the rest of the year. So it gives opportunities to keep FaceTime valuable, to keep a relationship going, and then when we do have budget, because it does fall into our laps every now and again, it gives you opportunities to pick them up and run with it. But it is, no one should ever be asking you to create above and beyond what only you can offer for free. I don't think that the days of will work for exposure are definitely gone. But I mean, I have long-term paid relationships that only started because we were basing a laptop review program, or
Absolutely.
You and I have been speaking about one talent for the last 4 years that we're only now starting to get a contract on. Sometimes they are longer lead. And the other side of the brand, there's not just me, there's not just my client, there's their boss and their CEO and their APAC lead who don't necessarily know what it is you do, don't necessarily know what it is I do.
Sometimes getting that Contra job done is where the brand that we're representing goes,
I get it, yeah.
That's what they do, and this is how it's going to work. Okay, how much is it going to cost to work with them for a year?
So those education pieces are important.
See, I thought we might end up having physical altercations on stage over this, but I do, to a point, agree with you, especially about, I don't think Contra is entirely a no for creators, especially if you're a smaller creator and you've not worked with brands before. I think my big issue is that, from both sides of the fence, that there are a lot of creators that should be getting paid because of the level that they're at, the amount of work that they've been doing for said brand, but they still continue to take free product so that they can create content that brand then kind of sees that and thinks, well,
Why should I pay them?
I know I'm not going to have to pay them now. I've actually had a particular brand I worked with for a long time that I did some free stuff with and had some big opportunities with the second I turned around after I'd been working with them for a while and my brand had started growing, and I asked if I could get paid and they stopped working with me.
Yep.
But it also
But
from
that's also where you know, okay, I know what I'm worth, but if they're not going to respect me, it's time for me to walk away.
But then the issue is from the creator side of things too, like you find that there are people that will continuously say yes even though they should be getting paid for it. So those
100%.
brands will just find those people. But that also hurts somebody like myself who has an established enough brand and channel and social media that I will miss out on work because brands don't want to pay us for things that really I've had things come through before that were here's a free plushie, look how cute it is. Here's a list of 10 deliverables that we'd like you to do. And that's where it
Why are
kind
you
of gets
looking at me like that? Did I send you that?
No,
No, it wasn't you. I'm not going to name names. We're not doing that today.
No.
But like that's the point where it's kind of like giving me free stuff isn't payment. I need to be able to pay my
Absolutely.
bills. And
Free
that's
shit's cool, but
yeah. And look, if I wanted to say yes to a contra job, I'm also not going to do 10 deliverables that would be
You
That's
get
like
what
an
you're
So
paid.
established
that's actually a
contract
really
at
good
work
point, right?
that-
So normally when I write a deliverable list, like there's difference between a contract for something you're being paid, and then if I'm doing a contra deal for a brand, it's a completely different write-up, right? I do not have expected deliverables. It's usually, here's some suggestions. I have no right, if I'm giving you something for free, to go, here's a $50 headset, I need 2 tweets, 3 Instagram posts, blah, 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 blah. It's more, here's some ideas we'd like. We're going to have to take whatever you give us.
Yeah, that's where the other side of this being a relatively small industry comes back as well, because how likely are you to work with that brand again, or tell anyone
100%.
to work with that brand again? So it does get around, and the adage of don't be a dick works both ways.
Yeah, I think as a creator, know your worth. Like, you'll get to a certain point where the content that you're creating for someone is worth money, whether it be because of the eyeballs you're getting, the quality of what you're doing, how long you've been working for that particular brand for in particular. But from, the other side of things, it's really obvious sometimes when you can tell that you're being taken advantage of by these companies.
And show as well, if you have results from past campaigns, if you have concurrent views, those proof points really help to make a point. There is a reason media buys are placed off the back of media kits, which has reach and figures. So you're able to not just know your worth, but also back it up.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've got Leto for, who is actually my manager, by the way. That's been a big part of, I don't know if this question's going to come up at all, but I'm just going off on a little tangent here, but I've found, especially in this industry, it can be so unregulated when it comes to, budgets people have, what people are willing to pay for things, how many people are actually willing to do free stuff. And I think sometimes knowing your worth can be really hard when your brand is you as a person. And having somebody like Leto, who is
The benefit
knows
is,
the industry
I
really
can
well
be like,
and can
You get to be the dickhead who says no.
Yeah, exactly.
there's a couple of brand speaks that brands don't try to do with other companies that I find works in favor of. My job is literally to get people paid for things and to not get people not paid for things. So I might have a bit of a different perspective on this.
Well, I was actually going to ask you, because Jessie's brought it up, that you are a manager for her to getting brand deals and sorting all those things out for her. So I guess as a side note to that, as a content creator or influencer, when should we look to getting someone to manage stuff for us? Is there a point where we should be getting someone? Is there a point where you're too small and it's like it's not worth your time?
Well, the sort of like contra jobs that you were talking about before are usually like when by the time you have enough jobs coming in that you need admin help as a manager or help sourcing more things on top, don't do contra. Instead, do something paid and buy the thing, right? Like you need to think of every contra job, for example, as opportunity cost, time cost, everything like that. Like, especially because, I'll be diplomatic, but there is a big lie in the industry, which I like to hear a lot, which is that we don't have budget for this. We don't have budget for this means we're not going to pay you for this, because while PR companies obviously like have budgets given by client and sometimes things are set in stone, no budget for this means nobody wanted to pay you, right? And sometimes that's because there is zero budget and the client just doesn't want to do any paid work, and that's fine, and there's only contra, because, for example, contra isn't money, it's product, and product can be stuff that's lying in the back of a warehouse kind of thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're giving you like something that they paid for. They get a certain contingent in or something. So like I kind of agree that you shouldn't do contra, but everyone's done contra and it's fine to do contra. But like
I think if it's something like a $3,000 laptop,
well, yeah,
like that's one of those things where you go,
I'm talking about
that's
I'm
worth-
talking about a mouse and a plushie, right?
yeah,
Or something non-functional like just a plushie,
Yeah.
right? You got to
Or
be
a
like,
keyboard when I've already got 4 of them, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
right,
It's like,
you-
that's not actually something
I would encourage
need.
every creator who doesn't come from a base where they've got a shit ton of savings already, because I appreciate that contra is a different perspective if you come into this with 6 years of financial investment, like backing in your savings versus I'm in uni and streaming, right? Get a keyboard, get a mouse, get a headset, then fuck off from contra. You don't need it anymore, right?
you've already got the gear.
You've got that, and also like when it comes to the continual relationship with brands, there is a lot of merit to doing work with people over time and getting a better thing as you grow. but like, you know that book, He's Just Not That Into You? Don't beggar yourself for someone who's gonna keep, like, why would I, like, think of things from the perspective of like a crusty old middle-aged marketing manager. And they're sitting at a desk going like, so this guy does this for free? Like, we don't pay him? We just give him stock from the back of the warehouse? Some people aren't, right? Like, both of you are lovely to work with, right? That isn't to say that there aren't a bunch of assholes who will, on a dime, take you for every ounce of social clout they can get off of you, and then the second, as you said, that you say, hey, I've done like the equivalent of like $10,000 worth of work, be like, well, yep, bye, right? There's no, for some people, there's no reason. So pick your battles, choose your things. I guess do your research, because see who pays people. If there's a company that's never had #ad or #spawn, which are legal requirements if you've ever, if you have to do that, like that's something people do wrong in there. That's question 2. You got to put ad or spawn if you've got paid things. Do your fucking thing so the feds don't get you. But like, if a company has never had #ad or #spawn on any of its stuff, they don't pay people things.
Yeah.
Don't bother. Right? You could either do a 3-hour job to get a headset, or you could work your side job 3 hours and buy a headset. And it's the same amount, but you don't have to like beggar yourself for that. So it's all an opportunity. Oh, plus, like you do enough contra jobs. Let's say you do a contra job for Jeff's Gardening World, right? He gives you a rake, and you do a social period post with that. Like, Jim's Mowing can't sponsor you because you've done a brand competitor. And if Jim's Mowing were going to give you money, don't farm yourself out to everyone who exists, or you won't be able to. Like, if you represent everyone, you can't represent anyone. This has been a bit too much of a tangent. Next question.
I was enjoying that, though.
Answered the initial question that was.
Oh, okay. What was the initial? What was the initial question?
There was the question about getting a talent manager.
Management.
Yeah.
So when should someone get a talent
who's
manager?
really small.
When you need someone to be on track, for you, you get a talent manager. Yeah.
Okay.
No, talent manager is 50% admin and 50% scouting. You can approach a manager when you need more work, but keep in mind, from my perspective, if I signed only people who don't get work, then I need to. Then I'm not. It's not a beneficial relationship. It's just me being a servant, right? So 50% of it is the admin. You negotiate for someone. If you don't know your worth, you get more money out of it by getting someone who, unless I'm shit at it, which I hope I'm not, right? The amount of negotiation, if I negotiate extra, is worth the pay of the doing it kind of thing, right? You get it when you need, if your inbox is 10,000 emails and you just need someone to take care of that, or you get someone when you have just enough work coming in that you're like, I could be doing better, and I could be concentrating more on my stream and getting more work if I outsourced it, kind of thing.
Awesome.
And off the back of that, where you said people for a manager just because they want more work.
If they have no work, they should be putting in the steps to get the
And they can find
base level of. Your mic cut out there, and it was really good because you just plugged your company.
Yeah, we're just going to do a plug there for GGWP Academy if you're looking for work. We have half an hour left. We also do have some more topics here, but I would like to check if anyone in the audience had any questions at the moment that they would like to ask anyone here at the panel. We've got one right down here at the front. I don't know if we have any mics available for questions. Otherwise, you're just going to yell really loudly, and we're going to... Oh, amazing. I can hear that. Go. Oh, we have a mic coming. Awesome, so everyone can hear it. Let's do that.
You don't have to lose your voice on day 1 of PAX.
Awesome. Hi.
Who's getting there?
Yeah, I feel that.
Oh, it's not on? It's on? There we go.
Hello.
Oh, there we go. All right. Hi.
Hi. We'll do
so
that later.
yeah, if I'm working my butt off and I'm right at that cusp, or I feel like I'm right at that cusp of being able to move into full-time content creation, but I'm just losing my mind. There is a lot of work. I've done work with GGWP Academy. They're fantastic. Love Phid. How do I go about finding a talent manager? Like, it's all well and good to say, yes, okay, it's time to get one, but how, who, where, how, like, what?
Actually,
Your mic's not working now.
Oh.
Do you want mine?
You just go
I didn't even touch
Oh, there
it.
we go. So, yeah.
Am I going now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that is a brilliant question. And it is probably one that's a lot harder to do because there's not a lot of talent managers out there, especially in the ANZ market, especially ones that have room on their books, because there's a lot of talent managers like Leto, how many people are you managing at the moment? You've got a fairly sizable roster at the moment.
Enough. But, it feels weird for me to answer this because there's no way to do it without me also seeming like I'm talking up myself. There aren't many. The management landscape is a bit all over the place in that you'll see some people have traditional media management, especially if they do stuff that crosses over. If you do any live show or comedy or anything, you might have like, some of the ex-Good Game people who stream, like Barjo, have a like a TV manager kind of thing, right? There's
Traditional
also
media.
Pardon?
Traditional
media managers, right?
talent managers.
And then you also cross over to like the digital market, and then it's like there's a lot of independent managers. People like Judge Brand do like have like small like esports focused rosters, and you'll have a lot of people who are like, if you're developing and you're just on the cusp, there's a lot of people who are trying to get into the talent management business, right? And getting someone who, like, obviously I can say me, but that feels weird. But like, find someone who's also coming up with you might be a good idea,
kind of thing.
right? If there's no one else, make it yourself is always the thing, right? Like, there aren't many talent managers. I would genuinely encourage some competition in my role because there aren't many people who go, there's Misfits and Click and the big lads who go for the 2,000 viewer people, but there's not many people who represent the like
Middle.
100 to 500 to 1,000 market kind of thing, and it's kind of sad because for every $5 bajillion job that goes for Click, there's 100 $1 bajillion jobs that go to like smaller people that are still there and need representation, and they're being taken for a ride by a lot of people, or they don't know their worth. And anyone out here who is thinking of getting into talent management, the only thing you need to do is the same advice that I give to creators, which is just go to parties, meet people, get in any way you can. Don't be unethical or duplicitous, but if it doesn't exist, create it. The gaming industry 10 years ago was a bit more cowboy, but it's still like, it's still like the music industry was 40 years ago. If you see it as like, there's cracks, which you can just be like, hey, nothing happens here, let's do this, right? You can represent yourself. You can get your partner to do it. You can get your friend who's good at business to do it. You can get someone who just is working in the space to do it, right? All you need to be a talent manager is a keyboard and a monitor and a mouse and bluffing skills. Because
Preferably a tower to connect them to.
I mean, you could pretend that you could make something up if you want, right?
Yeah, this industry is kind of on what you said as well. Like, I still feel like it's kind of finding its feet in terms of like establishing that kind of space. I mean, I've come from an acting background, and like the acting industry and like modeling industry and stuff, there's been management for a very long time. There's a lot of them. I started doing this about 8 years ago, and was partnered on Twitch for 7, and I had to do everything myself. And I think that's something that, especially when you're starting out, or you think you're getting to a point where you're starting to get work, or you're having brands come to you, or you're going to brands to try to get that work, you kind of have to put those hard yards in yourself. You have to learn how to run a business yourself. Which includes, by the way, don't forget your tax. Tax becomes much harder when you're running your own business. My God, I had to learn that the hard way as well. But yeah, I didn't even have the option of a manager when I first started doing this. So it's really, I think in sort of the next 5 to 10 years, it'll just get better because it is becoming a far more established industry, the whole social media thing, content creator thing, influencer thing, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
I kind of wish that was a better answer than fucking do it yourself. But
No, but in saying,
It sucks, right? But yeah.
do it yourself or find someone who does, and that's the only options, right?
you'll also be surprised though how many people within companies you'll be working with already are already keeping an eye out for you, where they'll see you're getting too busy and they will either tap you on the shoulder, or even like I do it to Leto every now and then, where I'll go, hey, there's this talent I'm working with at the moment, they've got to a point where they're too busy, maybe you should look at reaching out to them.
Brands do too. I mean, we keep an eye on who's having conversations, who's actually responding to questions and engaging on platforms. Like, it's not just about what you do behind the scenes, it can be the conversations you have online. And half the people I've met at PAX, this is the first time I've seen them in 3-5 years, sometimes it's the first. So relationships can be established in really not non-direct ways and be really open to that. I've had CEOs come to me and say, this person is blowing up on Twitch and we have to be all over them. And yeah, absolutely, there are different ways. You don't need to have that, but after a certain point, it helps.
Also, answer your damn emails and you don't need me. Like, if everyone was as quick at replying to things and like actually, like I can reply to a brief, like I can be embarrassed about replying to a brief like 12 hours after the brief came out because like I had a bunch on, and they'll be like, well, this is blistering fast, you're the only one who replied all week. And genuinely, just check your emails. Please check your emails. You will need me 6 months later than you think you do if you check your dang emails. Please
Also
check your
your
emails.
spam folder, because the amount of work that lands in spam folders that is actually real. Like, definitely make sure you've got a careful eye on whether it's bullshit or real. But back when I was content creating, I nearly missed out on an international trip because it landed in my spam, and it just happened that I was checking my spam for something else, and there was a trip to, I think it was Singapore or something, and it was like, they needed me to respond to them.
He's gone on a tangent, hasn't he?
Yeah.
They needed me to respond
He's
to
talking
them
about
the day
Singapore, I'm
beforehand.
aware. Okay.
Thank you so much for the in-depth answers. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you.
You mentioned something about checking your emails, and I just wanted to take us back to point 2 about what a creator's doing wrong on social, and probably not having email addresses or contacts on their social medias. If you want to work with brands,
Make yourself easy to contact, and if
Yeah.
you've got enough social media channels, there are plenty of places to put your email address or your manager's email address so that brands know where to find you and how to talk to you.
mean,
Or
even if you
don't,
don't
and they'll
have it
keep hiring my guys. So,
you all don't. Jesse
like,
will keep
leave your
getting all the work.
emails off your bio.
Or even like use Linktree. You can put everything on there now.
Yeah, use
Oh,
a link
I
tree.
actually don't like Linktree.
Oh,
I think
okay,
Linktree is a bad thing.
Okay, why?
That's a hot take.
Oh, okay. No reason. It's just
Okay,
shit.
or there's a thing in online shopping that like you only have like 3 or 4 of the clicks to get someone to buy your product.
Correct.
If I was a overworked communications manager and I saw 2 people's profiles and one had their email and one had a link tree to their email, I would copy paste the email and forget about the second one immediately if it was like a true 50-50 and I had 10 seconds to do it.
Can confirm.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good point.
Don't make things hard to find your damn contacts. Like, have a link tree, but have your
link tree
email
for
and the
people
link
who want
tree.
to find your channels, but put
Yeah.
your email in the bio as text. So
You-
that's visible, and then if people want to find where all of your whatever social media platform they found you on,
Yeah.
they want to find the others, then you can have the link tree.
It's
for
all
that
about
stuff.
empathy. You got to think like a Logitech.
All right. There's some other people with questions, I believe. Okay, we've got like 2 down here, so let's do one, I guess, first, and then we'll do the second person. Either or. Oh, sorry, I didn't even see it. I was going to the 2 girls behind, sorry.
It's mine now. This is kind of going back to something you said at the very, very start. I've just come back to streaming after a break, but I was previously working full-time as a streamer for maybe a year, being supported by the platform. But I was supported by my community, 100% by my community. I never worked with brands at all. Now that I've come back, I actually want to do that. I'm having trouble bridging in, but you said earlier that they might look and see you've got all these viewers, but if you don't have a social media presence, then you're not likely to get gigs. I never worried about social media, and now I'm learning social media and feel like a boomer. But I want to know, at what point will I not look foolish to go and give a media kit to a brand and be like, this is what I can offer? What sort of presence do I need to have on Twitter, for example? How many followers before I look silly? Does that make sense?
Don't know that you'll look silly, but it's more around the type of work or the type of opportunity you're trying to build. Also, start with a relationship builder rather than starting with, here's my press kit, please pay me. So you're not going to look silly, but it's more, if you're going to them, talk about the type of work you can do, the engagement you have on your channels, your concurrent streams, all of those other bits, because that's then where we would say, okay, let's do a sponsored stream, let's do a competition, let's look at those types of opportunities as opposed to let's do an engagement driver or let's do some click-throughs. So there's no end to the type of work you can do, and it's all just different ways of working.
So what's the difference between a relationship builder and a media kit?
So relationship is just reaching out saying, hey, I'm in your space, I'd like to build a relationship. This is why PAX is so great. You can walk up to any of the hardware stands, any of the publishers, the ones that are here.
This is your best opportunity every year.
Business cards are a really smart way of them remembering you.
Yeah. People are in the room, but also you can do that on Twitter, you can reach out on Instagram DMs, you can send an email to either agencies or brands or these guys. Just introduce yourself. This is who I am. This is the type of work I do. This is what I'm passionate about. If you, rather than saying, I would like to do X job with you, it's more, what can you have, what do you offer that no one else does? What is the story you can tell that no one else can, and how can you bring that to life? Because that's ultimately, as a brand, what we're paying for. We're not paying for promo. If we wanted to, we'd buy advertising.
It's your resume,
Right,
and
so
you
kind
can
of
fudge a
sounds like
resume
you're saying
too.
make it less professional. Like, if I'm not going too hard and too fast.
I don't think anybody in the streaming space should be too professional. No. I think you should be a little bit silly and be yourself. And
Yeah, I think being yourself, but like you can always have a level of professionalism. In
Totally.
terms of, right?
yeah,
But,
it's
I
getting
mean,
that balance right.
I don't think any of us
Yeah.
are saying to become a brand robot, right?
Because one of the best things is I get to go to business meetings dressed however I want with green hair and a tattoo sleeve, and it's not a corporate environment. And at the end of the day, you are your brand.
This is my business
And whatever
outfit.
it is that you're putting forward as your brand, that's what these companies want to see. That's who they want to meet.
If
And
Absolutely.
Yes, if a brand is coming to you and then they're saying, we love what you do, but when you work with us, we want you to do this, they don't love you.
The only thing I am okay with, though, is doing like Disney streams, and I'm not allowed to swear, which, by the way, if you've never seen my stream, that is very difficult for me. That's very hard. That's very hard. But I can do it, and so I'm okay with that because they know at least what they're getting
But they're
from
not telling
me.
you not
but-
to be you,
No,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. I feel like swearing is kind of
Excuse
part
me,
of
I
who
think
I
you
am.
guys are going on a tangent.
Oh, he's done my job. Beautiful.
Let's get back to the
Sorry.
original question, please.
I haven't
back-
seen Phid for so long, you know.
Off the back of that question, though, reaching out to brands, is it worth going and looking at brands' websites and seeing if they already have affiliate programs or ways to contact them if you are interested in working with them and applying for those things?
Or, okay, so in ANZ,
Yes.
not a lot of the affiliate stuff internationally, because normally you're going to end up at an international website.
Yeah.
Not a lot of that applies here. So I have seen people apply for a bigger brand and say, oh yeah, I've applied for this, never heard anything. It's because that message went to an American office and they went, Australian, not our problem. And so usually there's an Australian office that's going to be looking after a particular brand, or an agency that is looking after that brand for them in the region. So reaching out to the local Twitter account, the local Instagram account,
Some
like
brands
Jenna
have
was saying.
like ANZ channels, which can be
Oh, yeah.
really helpful because it kind of filters out everyone
Yeah.
else from other regions too.
Yeah, but once again, like Jenna was saying earlier, is networking at events like this and finding those right people and meeting them, and if you're looking for a person who's able to connect you to the right person, do it that way. Yeah.
My professional advice would be that, how do I say this diplomatically? I literally have one line on my notes and it's diplomacy. Like,
You don't have not go on a tangent written on there too? You should probably write that one down.
like, affiliate programs rock when you're a small streamer, and they'll give you some stuff, but it's contra, again. If you've been in an affiliate program for more than, say, 6 months, usually, I'd say, or it's the sort of affiliate program where they give you a headset and then you keep doing deliverables forever, then it's like crushing on someone who doesn't love you back, man. It's just, why? You don't need to. Are you getting anything out of it other than a logo to put on it? Because they get more out of the logo than you do, right?
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, is that a lot of the time with these things, it can be nice to have stuff to post and be like, I'm working with this brand and look at the things they gave me, but a lot of the time it's doing a lot more for them than it is for you if it's like, you know, you're getting product and you're taking photos of that product.
And product is great,
yeah.
and doing contra stuff can genuinely help, as you said,
100%,
and it's
yeah.
fantastic to do some of, but like, take a look around and assess yourself and figure out whether they're just going to keep doing that, or what have they done for you lately, right? Because a brand will go, what have they done for me lately? Are they still worth working with? Do they still have numbers? Do they still want to represent our brand? And you should say, are they giving me what I'm worth? Are they helping me? Is their logo on my screen giving me anything other than a sense of pride and accomplishment?
Their logo's on your screen. Is your face on their website?
Yeah. And like, is that logo on the screen just stopping someone else from paying you? So like, affiliate programs rock. Don't get stuck in them. They are like mud.
Okay, we've got 10 minutes, and I
I
know
don't
there's
know
like
what the fuck
2
that was.
questions left, so we're going to try and be really quick with these. All right, yep.
First of all, hi. I have kind of two very similar questions, so I'll ask them together. Firstly, what's some of the most successful campaigns that you've run in terms of, you know, including like what sort of channels are in the mix? What was sort of the brief from start to finish in like obviously a summarized form because we're running out of time. And then secondarily, what are some of your favorite brands or creators that you've actually worked with?
Okay. These are loaded questions.
I
Who
was
wants
just
to
say, this is
start?
probably
Go.
more a question for me and you.
Sorry,
I mean, I'll
agency
chuck one in
background.
because
Yeah,
I've
I'm
usually
sure you've
been capstoning off at the end with a tangent, so I'll get mine out of the way quick.
Yeah.
The best campaigns are the person who fits the brand the best. There's always the best and most fun ones. I had a campaign recently with Activision in the States for the YouTuber Zully the Witch, and they'd seen how successful Elden Ring was, and they were like, well, we have Sekiro by the same company. Let's commission her to make some like lore and some like behind the scenes content for Sekiro, right? So the ones that are most fun for the person, fit the best, everyone's happy, no one's doing it for the money just kind of thing, are the ones where like the person was always going to be the best fit for that, right? It's fitting. The best one is fitting a round peg into a round hole. There we go. I'm done. You go. If someone else can talk.
And we recently did one with Lenovo to launch their 7th generation laptops, and we actually collaborated on a few.
Yeah.
And we worked with John Ong. And that was the perfect example of, didn't know it was going to be the right in terms of the brief. It wasn't our biggest budget. It wasn't necessarily the biggest reach on his side compared to some of the other guys we were working on. But his stream was so authentic, and he knew the product inside and out.
That was one of those
and
occasions where
it was just beautiful. I couldn't pay my product manager to speak as positively and accurately about the product as what happened.
he was ridiculously well researched.
very, very well good. And it just, you were sitting there smiling from ear to ear. Like, not only were we learning and we were engaging, but everyone was having a really great time. It took it to different places we didn't know it was going to go. I can write a 20-page brief, no problem, but when someone takes it and makes it their own and has fun with it and is genuinely authentic, that's the best result you're ever going to get.
I think that's why as a creator, I enjoy working with brands that I genuinely love or that I genuinely can back, because then it is authentic for me as well. And I can sit there and rave on my stream about something, and I'm not just doing it for the money. It's because I genuinely enjoy sharing how much I love whatever it is, the game or the product, that with my community, and it's actually coming from a genuine place. And if they let me be authentic, and they
Yes.
don't kind of try really hard to structure things so much that I can't kind of do things how I normally would. Obviously, there's got to be some sort of structure in terms of what they want out of the stream, but yeah.
You said before, if you wanted ad spend, you could just get ad spend.
Exactly,
You can
where
pay for it.
we want that relationship and that excitement and that passion.
See, my answer would be any brand that wants to do something cooler than a copy and paste of do this thing on stream, do a couple of posts, done. Any time we get to be creative with it, I'll just shoot a couple of examples out. Last year we did the Cheesel's 50th anniversary celebration for that, and they allowed us to get Barjo and Very Polite Gamer to let them be them. And if you've ever seen those two interacting with each other, it's the maddest thing on Twitch.
That was the Cheezel Voltron, right?
It was, you name it, it was just madness. And they were interacting with each other while they were both live on their own channels, and it was just chaos. But it was exactly on brand for Cheezels as well. So that was a super fun one. And I won't go into it because there's multiple sort of layers to this campaign, but one of my most fun campaigns, if you Google Skrillex Twitch Australia,
Enjoy.
That was a campaign that took us 3 weeks to pull off, of planning. Nobody was allowed to be told what the brand was they were working for, including the talent that were working on it had no idea who they were promoting. So they put a lot of trust in us that we weren't going to make that the new song they were about to promote was
Awesome.
shit.
There was this question at the front here that we did miss. Yeah. Was there anyone else who had a question? Oh, there's a lot. Wow. We may have to get you just to like DM people after. we got some time still.
You're doing a really good job of cutting us off, by the way.
Good to know.
Keeping us on track.
Hi all, thanks all for the very interesting conversation so far. As a creator who's been doing this thing for a little while now and is starting to look at more work in the industry, has taken a couple of contra things in the past, starting to think about like paid opportunities, one of which we recently completed with GGWP as well. Shout out to Fran for that one, and Phid as well. You know, one of the biggest challenges I think that comes as a creator is assessing your worth and assessing how much you are worth when it comes to accepting paid gigs. So I was wondering if any of you had any tips or any advice on how to accurately assess your worth in the industry and what the way is to navigate that, essentially.
Go in high and negotiate.
Love it.
Honestly, it's the best way of being able to figure out, because if there's two situations that are going to happen. Either they're going to come to you with an offer, or they're going to ask you for a quote.
Okay.
So if they come at you with an offer and you're not happy with that, you negotiate that up.
Yep.
So you say, look, love the offer, love the work, interested in working on it, I'd normally do it for more than that, this is what I'd normally charge. And then you're going to meet somewhere where they're going to be happy and you're going to be happy as being a key part too. If they come to you asking for a quote, you either quote high or you don't quote, and say, if you're uncomfortable quoting, like they're the ones that want you.
Yep.
So you should be sort of saying, no, what do you think I'm worth?
What's the budget?
Yeah, what's the budget?
Yeah, okay.
You sometimes get into like a sparring match of like, what's the budget? Give me a quote. What's the budget? Kind of thing.
Sometimes we genuinely don't know.
Yeah,
No,
because
you go first.
yeah.
You go first.
Yeah.
If you were to try and get more work by slashing your budget by like 70%, so you got more jobs, or then and like if you went back to your 100%, right, this is a fuck metaphor. Let's start again. Let's say your rate is $10,000, right? And you go, oh, I'll do it for $3,000 because I'll get more jobs, right? If you lose 2 out of 3 jobs, you are still like making more money for less work, right? So quote high. 99% of the time, if you go, my rate is $10,000, then they go, well, we have $800. You can decide then, right?
Can I also on that point, sometimes depending on who the brand is, what the job is, what time of the year it is, budgets can fluctuate and change so much in this industry because sometimes it might come straight from a publisher, sometimes it might come from an agency, and certain products or certain games just also might not have the budget. For me, there are certain brands that I've been working with for years, and they aren't actually the ones that pay me the most, but it's because I genuinely love working with them. I love, you know, their games or their products, and I would rather have ongoing work and maybe not get as paid as much as some of the other people that I work with might pay me for similar things, but it's because I do understand the landscape in the sense that not everybody is going to always have the same budgets and have a shitload of money to hand out all the time. So
When you start understanding what companies have that, it starts getting a lot better. Until that stage, an embarrassing amount of your negotiation is going to be on vibes, and that's not great. But like, I reckon they've got probably this is a surprising amount of reach outs because like they might, or they might not, or they might think it's a bargain. But like, the rate that a US publisher will pay for a game versus a small indie company for the same amount of work are so astronomically different that sometimes you just gotta go on vibes.
And sometimes it comes down to the fact that a AAA publisher is going to have globally like a $1 million to spend, and
That's part of their marketing campaign.
it's part of it.
When quoting as well, include not just for deliverables, but for your time. There will be edits, there will be approval delays, there will be, can we do this but in a different way or a different approach? So make sure your time is factored in as much as I will do one post, one stream, one whatever.
Yeah, I think a good base to start with is if you've got a general idea of what you would charge for, say, one stream, and for me, most of the time, it's normally a 3-hour minimum, so I might stream for longer, but if I'm not streaming for at least 3 hours, it's sometimes not really worth it because you're not going to get as many eyeballs, and I guess that just gives me a good chance to really showcase whatever it is, but then I can stream for a bit longer if I want to, and that's just because my stream's live. But if
it's
you
not just a 3-hour stream, you're also prepping for that, you're running material, you're writing a script, you're editing, there's a lot going on.
That's more what I mean is like if you've got a good idea of what you would say you would want to get paid for, say, a 3-hour stream and a post, and then you can kind of work the rest of the stuff around that as well, because sometimes people will come to you with a bunch of different deliverables and like a whole range of things that are outside of that, plus what you're saying is like all of the outside work that goes into that too. But I've just found that that was a really easy way for me to kind of work out how much I would charge for a job. Is like, what would I charge to do a 3-hour stream? What would I charge for a post? What are the other deliverables and the other things that are going to go around that, all the editing and stuff outside of it? And that kind of helped me to sort of just build a good amount of money to ask for jobs as they came up, rather than seeing a list of things and going, well, how much would I get paid for this whole chunk of stuff at once? If you can kind of break that down a little bit, it can help you to sort of maybe manage what you're asking for and how you're negotiating those things.
Or you can outsource the admin.
Yeah, that helps too. This is also
And
true.
don't do any jobs for those international
Get a
influencer
mamager.
marketing companies. Don't just if you see an element, stream elements or a similar kind of thing, there's a decent chance that they are looking for a global influencer. And what they mean by global influencer is someone in Peru who has 10,000 viewers, but who is 18 and the exchange rate is different and will take $150 for a 10-hour stream, right? Don't.
And if I could give one piece of advice though, is if you do agree to any of those contracts or a brief or a deliverable, meet what you've agreed to. So if you've signed it and it says you're going to do this, 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 and this, do it all on time. But if you can't, if anything comes up and you cannot meet all those things, contact the person who you're doing the deal with, because chances are they will move deadlines and things like that, but you need to talk to them, because the last thing they want you to do is go AWOL.
Same with contracts.
Yeah.
If you don't like something, say it. They'll probably change it, unless it's like a
negotiate.
core part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, like, there's some complexities around indemnities in New South Wales that aren't always covered by international law. So, like, you might be able to be sued if the contract goes wrong. And I've never had a company worth their salt turn around and go anything other than like, yeah, we'll change that, right? And it's an extra day that it takes you to get the contract done, and it doesn't change anything. And in the same way, just talk to the rep, and unless they're just completely insane, then you'll be able to change it.
Yeah, if you're not happy with the contract, don't be afraid to reach out and say,
pushback.
Yeah, because most of the time they'll be cool with that. They've normally got a generic
100%.
thing there. Also, make sure you establish exactly what the deliverables are. Like for me, when I do posts, I need hashtags sometimes, I need people that I need to tag. I want to make sure that I do what's asked of me, but sometimes the brands aren't good at adding those sorts of things in, so just make sure things are really clear. And yeah, if you're not happy with things in a contract, push back. I've never had somebody turn around and go, nah.
And it always
get out of
looks
here.
good to be more organized than they are. If you're like, all right, I need this, this, and this, and they go, oh shit, we need to do this, then
I tell you what,
All
you
right,
become
we
their
will,
template for what a good streamer is, you know?
the one thing that will make me always
going on
love
a
a streamer and
tangent?
go back is if they send me their reporting straight after, as soon as it's due, and you get an email and I haven't had to chase them up.
I have very organized Google Drive folders for that, and I just send you the Google Drive folder.
You're
and
one
it's
of the
all
good
in
ones.
there.
We'll pay extra for
feel
good
like
and on-time reporting.
I will always go.
100%.
I will
We
always
will-
go back.
I
We'll
feel like
have
he's
to wrap
airing
it
a
up
kink
there.
on stage.
Thanks, guys.
I think
I
we
know
have to stop
there are
talking.
a lot of questions still, so look, I'm just going to ask each person here how you can follow them on a social media or how you can contact them if you do have a question. So Leto, if people want to follow you or reach out to you, what is the best way?
They can shout my name really loud.
Okay, so walk through the PAX Aus shouting out Leto.
At Litovsky or at GamerTalent.org on Twitter, or real life, I'm at PAX.
Cool. Jessie, how can we find you or reach out
I am
to you?
GeekGG on Twitch, and I am the GeekGG on social media. That's Geek and then just GG. It's pretty easy.
Awesome.
GG.
Jenna S. Woods on every platform.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, I wish
Love
mine
brand
would take
Yeah, no, I wish. Oh my
down.
goodness.
At Phid McAwesome on everything, and at GGWP Academy on almost everything as well. But yeah, apart from that, if you see me around the con, come say hi and chat.
Yeah, please don't be scared. Come up to the booth, introduce yourself. Everyone who works on there is there to have a conversation with you guys. So
I want to say don't talk to me, but that's a lie.
don't talk to them.
Awesome. And if you guys want to reach out to me, I am Domino_Jack on Twitter. Otherwise, guys, sorry, we will have to end it up there because it is 3 o'clock. But thank you all so much for being here to learn a bit more about brands and content creation. And thank you
Thank you
our
guys for
amazing panel.
coming, and thank you, Domino.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Domino.